a play on Cincinnati at Carolina. We've got Jeff, the Herb, Petched, Mad Russian, and 6 other million nicknames he's got coming on after that. He's going to look at the Chiefs and the Chargers, and he was going to look at the Browns and the Raiders, but Teddy got in there first with a big game breakdown on that, and Kyle Anthony to end the show with some UFC. My presidential pick will be on the Rams and the Bears. Welcome, everybody. It's betting time. Marco D'Angelo, my brother, how are you, man? I'm a little bit excited today, dude. I like that color on you, Marco. You look very blue. How are you, man?
Well, my days just, can't get any better. I'm, approved by the Prez on my dress shirt. So cool. Thank you, Prez. I had an extra bounce in my step now.
Oh, well, you know what? At your age, I'm just glad you have a step. So welcome to the show. It's Thursday night football. Dallas is playing the New York Giants. Last we saw this matchup, the Cowboys whooped this team 40-0. I think we have a different Dallas team than we did in that matchup. How are you betting this game?
Well, one of the problems is we don't know what Dallas team we have. Do we have the Dallas team that dismantled the Cleveland Browns in week 1, or do we have the Dallas team that got dismantled 2 weeks in a row by the Saints in Baltimore? Now, last week, I think, was a situation where Baltimore was coming in. Baltimore was 0-2. That was a must-win game for Baltimore. They were like a wounded animal. They played like it. They came out of the gate from the start and jumped all over Dallas, built up a big lead in the game. Final score makes it look like Dallas, hung around in that game, but it was all garbage time points. But the thing about it is, it got them some momentum at the end of the game. There's no question about that. And Baltimore, even though they were 0-2, let's be honest about Baltimore's 0-2. The first week of the season was the big revenge game. It was the rematch of the AFC Championship game. They went to Kansas City and all but won that game. If it wasn't for the toe on the line, they win the game at the end of the game and get their revenge. They come back the next week and have an inexcusable loss to the Raiders. But I'm going to quote one of our dear friends, Dave Koken. I think that Raider game was a case where Baltimore lost the same game twice. That was the game following the Thursday night affair with Kansas City, and they were flat. I think they looked at the Raiders, thought they just had to show up and win that game. You saw the real Baltimore team last week. So even though Dallas looked bad last week, I can understand who they looked bad against. Now, who they're playing today isn't anywhere near the Baltimore Ravens. Dallas has owned the Giants. 7-1 the last 8 meetings. I don't trust Daniel Jones. There's only one way for me to go, and that is to take Dallas in this one. Lay the points here. I've got Dallas winning 27-16. It's a get-right game for the Cowboys. That's the way I'm going with them tonight.
So let me ask you this. We talk about concepts in the NFL, and one of the concepts that I try to stay true to is not laying points, or certainly not laying more than a field goal on the road with teams that don't play good defense. And right now, there's no way we can look at the Cowboys defense and say this is a good defense. They're giving up 6 yards per play, nearly a yard worse than the Giants in that regard. Do you trust the Cowboys defense to actually get stops in this ballgame? Because that's what they're going to need to do in order to cover the number.
And Teddy, that's an absolutely great point. And I've always said for years, if I can get the better defense getting points, that's generally the way I'm going to go. The problem with that is, and you're right in the comparison about the Dallas defense, but do you trust the New York Giants and Daniel Jones? Both defenses have been getting torched, and I think Dallas, the 3 games they've played, the teams they've played have been 3 better teams. Do you trust Daniel Jones to trade points with this Cowboy offense? Yeah, I'll give you the edge on the defense, but I think I got a bigger edge on the Cowboys offense versus the Giants offense, and I just don't see them trading points.
Marco D'Angelo joining us, everyone. Marco, Teddy and I actually had a long phone call yesterday about this. We spoke a lot about the Dallas-New York Giants game, and my original thought was Dallas. Oh, Teddy, enough, man. Like, what What is the
But we
point
didn't.
there?
That wasn't a game we talked about a lot. I'm like,
Yes,
I'm not
we
playing
did.
the game.
Yes, we did.
No, you
Maybe
did.
we define a lot differently. Like, I mean, how many issues do you have in your head that you have to, like, that's the spot we're going to argue? Okay. Anyway, Marco, I really like Dallas as well. That was my original gut feeling, and I planned on releasing it to my clients. And man, I just dug. And, you know, on Monday we spoke about the Jacksonville Jaguars, and everybody liked them. And I pointed out, hey, maybe they're just shit. And I'm worried. I am worried that this Dallas defense, built as a pass rushing machine, cannot stop the run. And even though DJ might stink at throwing the ball, he can run. Are you worried at all about the Giants just playing ball control from start to finish?
Again, like I said, they can do that, but if they don't punch it into the end zone, okay, and they're trading field goals for touchdowns with Dallas, you're going to get separation. And if Dallas gets separation and has that double-digit lead, then it puts pressure on the Giants that they can't do that run and pound the football,
And that's
you
when
got to force the issue. That's when they pull away.
Yeah, and I mentioned that on the NFL presidential address. If Dallas is up by 10 going into the half, take them in the second half. That's when Dallas creates separation, when they can get their opponent into a one-dimensional offense. Marco D'Angelo, Cincinnati and Carolina, and we've got injuries all over the board for the Cincinnati team. Trey Hendrickson now questionable in illness. Tanner Hudson questionable. Jamar Chase questionable. Joe Burrow, sore wrist. I'm sure he'll play. The line is moving all over the place. We saw a couple of 3.5s on the board yesterday. Now it's jumping back and forth between 4 and 4.5. With all these injuries in mind, how are you betting this game?
Well, it's a tough game, but you know what? I hate to use the phrase must win, but boy, it is must win for the Cincinnati Bengals. And this is one of those spots for the Bengals. Talk about it. I'll keep the theme going. Lose the same game twice. They came in last week on Monday Night Football playing the Redskins. Oops, they can't say that anymore. The Commanders, and they were coming off that Kansas City game. They did everything in that Kansas City game, but actually win it. Questionable call once again for the Chiefs. Bailed them out on 3rd and 16 or 4th and 16, whatever it was, to keep the game alive. And Kansas City found a way to beat them at the end. This is a spot where I thought they went in there, and watching that game was a situation where they felt they just had to show up and win, and that wasn't the case. Washington's offense is doing well this year, no question about it. Offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury has got Jaden Daniels looking like this year's version of CJ Stroud. They're doing things. They got a mobile quarterback. The Bengals defense we know is bad, but they couldn't get pressure on Daniels. This week, they're playing a quarterback that's a statue. And Andy Dalton, what he did last week, went into the Raiders. Hey, he caught the Raiders. And you know what? The Raiders, we've seen this song and dance before. They give you a good game, and then what do? They come back and lay an absolute egg. Want to talk about a team that played like they were fat and sassy? Want to talk about a quarterback that came in, got the start because Bryce Young was so horrific in his first 2 games, and he just lit up the Raiders. One point about that game, as I said, they didn't get pressure on Andy Dalton. Even though he's immobile in the pocket, Max Crosby wasn't 100%. Now, I know the Cincinnati defense is not good, but they got to dial up some blitzes to help the defense out and put pressure on Andy Dalton. Plus the fact you had a new coach in Carolina. You had Andy Dalton that hadn't played in a while. You didn't know what the game plan was going to be, what he was going to do. Now you got a week of game film to look at and dissect. And again, as I said, you can't put more must win on a team that's 0-3 that was expected to be one of the Super Bowl contenders. I'm going with it. Take Cincinnati, lay the points this week against Carolina.
Marco, a couple of follow-ups. I'll go first. I did a breakdown of this game myself yesterday, and I'm with you 100%. But my question to you is, why is the Cincinnati defense getting so much shit from you? Now, I understand they played like total garbage against Washington. But prior to that game, you would have been like outstanding performance by the Cincinnati defense against Kansas City. Yes, New England moved the ball up and down, didn't score a touchdown. This Kansas City team for the last 3 years has been built around their defense. It was one bad game. Why are they so shit?
Well, that's the Achilles heel of this team coming into the season. And Prez, for whatever reason, and if you remember that week against Kansas City, I had Cincinnati as a 5% play. One of the reasons is, for whatever reason, Cincinnati always plays Kansas City well. You go back and look at it. Joe Burrow is the one quarterback that has had success against the Chiefs. I can't give you the answer for that. But last week they were flat as a pancake, in my opinion. And there's just a bad effort. You're going to get everything they got. They got to throw the kitchen sink. They got to take chances in this game. Not that Zach Taylor doesn't always take chances, 4th and 2s and things. They can't go to 0-4. 0-4, their season's basically dead in the water.
Yeah, but are they good enough? I mean, that's my only question here, Marco. I mean, if we're just talking about this year, is this point spread right? It feels like this point spread has a whole lot of expectation built into it about what Cincinnati's supposed to be and what Carolina looked like the first 2 weeks before they made the quarterback change. But certainly if we're going on last week's results, we're not going to see Cincinnati. And again, last week's results is not enough. But this year's results, since he can't be -4 here, there's got to be stuff baked into that line.
There's definitely some baked into that, but also, Teddy, you got to put in this mix as well. Carolina is not as bad as they were the first 2 weeks of the season. There's no question about that. They're also not as good as they looked last week against the Raiders. They're somewhere in between. And I think Cincinnati is somewhere in between what we saw last week and what we saw against Kansas City. I still have them, my numbers have Cincinnati winning this game by 11 points. I got them 31-20. Yeah, they'll give up some points, but I just don't see Carolina being able to match points with them. And again, just like we said in the Dallas game, if Carolina falls behind by 2 scores and have to abandon the run and become one-dimensional, Andy Dalton's a statue. I don't care if you got a bad defense or not. When you become one-dimensional, it's easier to play defense. And that's what I think is going to happen, since he's going to jump on them early and, just keep putting the pedal to the metal.
Marco D'Angelo, my brother, thanks for joining us. What do you have to promote?
Well, I'm going to promote what we've got going site-wide at WagerTalk. This is the most exciting time of the year. The next 4 months, you've got every sport going at one time. We've got college football, NFL. You've got baseball playoffs and World Series. You've got hockey starting in a couple weeks. You've got the NBA and college basketball around the corner. You can buy a 90-day all-access package for $849. We'll add 30 days to that package, giving you 120 days for $849. That comes out the cheapest that you can get it. You get every sport, and yeah, that includes all of those 5% plays from the cappers. This is not just for me. It's site-wide, any capper at WagerTalk. And remember, those 5% plays sell for $35. And if you want to speak about me, those 5% plays, we hit the 5% we promoted last week again. Now 10-2 the last 12 with those. Head over to WagerTalk.com, pick your favorite capper, and lock them in for 4 months.
There we go. Marco D'Angelo, everyone. Lots of shows still left. Jeff the Mad Russian coming up. We also have Kyle Anthony as well. I got something stuck in my throat, Teddy. It's still haven't had a cigarette yet, and so much phlegm. Okay, so before we get into what did bettors learn, Theodore, I just want to point out we had Marco D'Angelo on the show a minute ago, and he is part, and you are part of Bet On It. Bet On It is our #1 most watched show every single week, as it should be. It's outstanding brilliantly done. Show at WagerTalk TV every single week is the opening line report by you and Drew, and the NFL presidential address by me alone. Last week, I beat the opening line report by a couple of thousand views, and I was over the freaking moon. There's very few things in life that gives me greater pleasure than having more views than Teddy covers. But I chalked it up to they had technical difficulties. They did the show a day later because Teddy's show goes on Monday. Mine goes on Tuesday. So he always gets an extra day of views. This week, I'm beating him again, baby. Teddy, there's the satisfaction and joy that I have all over me, top to bottom, by beating your unbelievably talented and incredible opening line report. Oh, my God, dude. Guys, let's double his views. Anything to say there, Teddy?
First, congrats. I'm glad you're getting views. Second, I'm not surprised at all. I am, Prez. I'm not surprised at all that my show is an early week show. Your show is a pick show. So I'm not surprised that
It's a good point.
You have more views than me, and I don't care, Lawrence. I don't care at all. I really don't. What I care about is giving good information. Yeah. That's what I give every week. And if you want to check out the NFL opening line report and Lawrence's presidential address. Two very different type of shows. Your show's much shorter as well. My show goes 50 minutes and your show is more like a 10, 20 minute show.
Dude, it was supposed to be 10 minutes, but there's no buys yet, and I can't get it out in 10 minutes. So it's like 22 minutes now, but I'm going to get it down to 15. You made a great point, Teddy. You're really pissed on my satisfaction. Okay, so Tokyo Brandon's in the chat room right now, and all he wants to do is annoy me. Dude, I got a stalker. How cool is that? Like, you have achieved greatness in life when at 2 a.m, someone doesn't go to bed just so that he can stalk you in a chat room. Thank you, Tokyo. My brother, what did bettors learn last night?
So if you ever had a stalker, it's less fun than you're making it sound, Lawrence. Just FYI.
Well, yeah, but it helps the ego. It does help the ego. Like, you got to be damn
Let's
important.
talk about what bettors learned. I'm going to talk about Oakland. Oakland used to have 3 teams: the Warriors, the Raiders, and the A's. And the Warriors weren't any good for most of their tenure in Oakland. But the A's and the Raiders won championships. When I was a kid, these were marquee franchises. Absolutely. Now, things have not gone well for Oakland the last, 50 years, 40 years, whatever you want to call it. The Warriors left for San Francisco. The Raiders left first for LA, and they came back and they moved here to Vegas. And now today is the A's last home game. I believe it's their only sellout of the season. I don't think they sold out on opening day. 57 years of Major League Baseball in Oakland ends this afternoon against the Texas Rangers. Now, it's a sad day for Oakland. It really is. I don't get to many games, Lawrence. I'm not going anywhere Saturday. I'm not going anywhere Sunday. I don't leave the house. So the only thing I'm going to see is a weeknight game. And with WagerTalk Today, first thing in the morning here in Vegas, and I'm not even going to see those a whole lot. I did see LSU USC here at Allegiant Stadium last month. But I'll tell you what. Today, the last game in Oakland, that's one game I really would like to be at. As a fan, I think it'll be special. And sad. By the way, I got to play on that game. You can get it out right now, wagertalk.com. Lawrence?
Nice segue to the promo, baby. Why is this happening in Oakland?
Because the city is falling apart.
And I can tell you all the reasons why that is, but then I would not be doing this show any longer because no political talk allowed. So Herbert joining us. Wait,
we can talk odds. We're allowed to talk political.
Yes, they did. And yeah, I want to do a politics show so bad, Teddy. So Jeff Petch. We found out his middle name is Herbert. As we spoke, Teddy and I love Herb. So Herberooski, Do you partake in the gunge?
No, I've stayed away from it my whole life. Maybe
Why?
once or twice. Could you teach me a lesson? I can't sleep at night, Lawrence, and everyone's telling me these gummies are the greatest thing since sliced bread. I tried 2 of them. I got a little aggressive early, and I was freaking out, and I had to have my wife keep her arm around my shoulder and make sure I thought I was going to die. So I'm 0 for 1 on trying it, and I really don't want to try it again.
Okay, so firstly, they're God's gift to us. They are literally God's gift. Secondly, they're a vegetable. They're lettuce, cannabis, they even rhyme. Thirdly, start at a low dose, bro. It will for sure help you sleep. However, you will wake up slightly groggy, but that's what the Peloton is for. I think everybody in the world should be doing it on a regular basis. I'm a huge pro Herb. Okay. So, you want to do Kansas City? Let's do Kansas City first. Line is now 7.
Yes.
Where are you going to go in this game, Jeff?
It's very rare for me to lay these kind of points with on a road favorite, especially if it's a division game too as well. It's very rare, but I just can't seem to avoid this one, guys. The Chargers are going to be without both their stud offensive tackles and Slater and Alt. Both are ranked top 15 in PFF. We know how good they are. On the defensive side of the ball, Bosa might play with a hip injury, but I don't think he will. You got their strong safety, Derwin James, is out on suspension. He won't be playing. And, like you said, I did see a little movement. This line was 8.5, now all the way down to 7, because we're hearing news that Herbert, was caught without a walking boot on, and he's looking like he's making some progress with that ankle. My gut here tells me that Herbert is not going to play in this game. I just think with their bye week being in week 5, I just don't see how Harbaugh doesn't just sit him right here, try to get his ankle back to close to 100%, look forward into week 6 when they play Denver, try to get that ankle close to 100%. If all those 5 guys that I just named right there, with Slater, Alt, Bosa, James, and Herbert, if all those 5 guys are sitting, that's 5 first-round draft picks that are out of the game. Even if Herbert decides that he wants to play, he doesn't do good under pressure. PFF has him ranked dead last, 23.1 ranking under pressure. You want to know who he's tied with? Bryce Young. And Caleb and Caleb Williams and Willis are actually ranked higher than him under pressure. So I know Mahomes has not been lights out at all. He's averaging only 219 a game, five touchdown, 4 picks. But I feel like with these extra possessions that he's going to get in this game, this is going to be his coming out party. So I think this one might get ugly. I think I'll take the Chiefs here in a runaway, guys.
So Kansas City has been remarkably adept at winning close games. I went back their last 17 games. They've only won by more than a touchdown 4 times. One of them came by 8 points. One of them came by 10 points. They're winning a lot of games by a single score. That seems to be their MO right now. They're really good at it. Does that concern you at all? We're talking about laying a price. We're in a game where KC's got to win this by more than a touchdown, given their MO has been lots and lots of close games.
Yeah, Teddy, and they could easily be 0-3, as you and I know. I just think that this game is going to be a runaway. I feel like they got potential here for a 14-plus victory. It does concern me that they play a lot of close games. I just feel like you give that offense that many additional possessions with Tyler Heineke, who I think is going to be at the helm for the Chargers with no offensive tackles on either side. I think this one's going to be a blowout. But yes, to answer your question, they don't really blow a lot of people out, so it does concern me.
Well, listen, Jeff, if ever you're concerned, I suggest edibles. Anyway, Teddy, your question you just asked was literally exactly what came to mind for me, and that is that this Kansas City team, They just don't create any separation. And it's not just this year. This is a regular occurrence with this team. And also, for some reason, they find themselves down or playing at their worst in the first half. I will tell you guys this. If you want a great bet, take the Chiefs in the second half if they are down or tied. Their adjustments are second to none. But, Jeff, I'm with Teddy here, man. I don't think I can get to the window. I think it's just too many points. I mean, with that all said, Kansas City has been paying the refs off for a couple of years, so you might get a missed pass interference call at the end of the game on a backdoor cover that goes wrong because the ref had them as well. Jeff, The next game you want to talk about, let's take a look. I think you picked, the Colts. It's a good choice. I'm curious about this game, brother. They're playing Pittsburgh. I'll tell you right off the bat, I like Indianapolis here. I actually think they're a good first leg and a teaser, especially considering I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I'm damn curious where you're going. For me, it's Indy or nothing.
Yeah, I think, with Tomlin, we talk about history. Historically, he hasn't been a great road favorite. His record there is 30, 40, and 3 as a road favorite. Last year, Pitt walked into Indy, and they got their socks knocked off them. They lost. They got smoked. I think it was 13-30. They got beat in Indy last year. So, Pitt is still sitting around. They're 28th in passing yards, 24 in points, and they're dead last in offensive touchdowns. That luck is eventually going to run out. Now, their defense, guys, has just been playing lights out, unbelievable, holding to opponents to 9 a game. I do agree with you, Lawrence. It's going to be a low-scoring game. I just don't see a Justin Fields squad being 4-0. You can't live on 172 yards a game, 2 touchdowns in 3 games. You just can't do it. On the other side, I know what Teddy's probably going to say. Anthony Richards has been probably one of the worst in the league. He's been absolutely brutal. They found a way to win that game last week with him going 10 for 20, 176 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks. They still find a way. My stock in this game, honestly, is more about Shane Steichen. I've got a lot of faith in him. I think you're going to see Taylor run probably 30-plus carries here. I think the Colts go back-to-back and get a W here at home. Tough place to play. Give them to me plus 1.5.
So when we look at these two teams defensively, there's really not a whole lot of comparison. Pittsburgh has allowed 2 touchdowns this season, and teams have been moving the ball pretty good against Indy. And in looking at Indy's yards per play allowed, I was kind of surprised because it's actually not as bad as I thought it was. But I think something that has something to do with some of the opponents that they faced this year. Do you trust the weaker defense in this point spread range? And how do you approach a defensive, in my mind, this is kind of something of a defensive mismatch. One good defense, one well above average and one well below average in a basically pick 'em price range. Talk about how you approach defensive differentials in the NFL.
Yeah, this is a difficult one because obviously there is a huge separation defensively, and I'm a huge defensive guy. Normally, I just go with that squad being a better defense, but I think that Indy is going to have control of the clock here. They're gonna eat up time of possession offensively, and I think that'll limit the amount of time that they're out in the field. I do think that the loss of Buckner was huge, that they lost him last week, but their defense showed up last week and what has actually won them the game against Chicago. I know it's still a short window here of how we can say their defense is on the year. So I think their defense is going to hold up, Teddy. I think they're going to have just enough energy in that building to find a way to get a W here. So I do like a home dog.
If you guys like this show, take a minute out of your day and hit that like button for us, please. It would be greatly appreciated. I'm really bad at remembering to ask for likes, but I did now. So please hit that like button. Also, 173,000 subscribers. Thank you, guys. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so. Teddy, listeners, you want to know how good Jeff Herb Petch is in sports betting? Well, based on the fact that he's probably close to the same age as Teddy and I, look at his hair color and beard color. I mean, not a gray in sight. You're never stressed.
You guys are 40?
Yeah, 40.
I didn't know you guys were 40. Oh, okay. Got it. Okay.
We're 30.
I graduated in 2000. You graduated.
Yeah, not a gray in sight, bro. Not even in your beard. It's very impressive. So, what is the color you use?
None. Just like, hey, stay off the herb.
Oh,
I think that's what's doing it.
oh, dude, I'll take gray hair for the herb. If that's the deal I have to make with God, let it all be gray, baby. What do you got?
You know what
promote?
gray? Well, I was going to say,
What?
you know what gray tells me? Knowledge. That's what gray.
Wisdom.
So I might even just throw a little bit of gray in there. Knowledge and wisdom. Yes, sir. What do I have to promote? Last week had a good week, 5-2. Hit my 5%er there, and you can use the Mad 20 as a promo on any of my packages that I offer. I've got a $39 package out there with another 5% this week, and would love to have you on board, man. Excited to run this one back, keep the train rolling.
Jeff, we're absolutely privileged to have you with us. Can't thank you enough for being part of our team, man. Teddy covers your big game breakdown, and of course, the handsome Kyle Anthony. Hopefully, he doesn't have his collar button up to the top. That's a no-no for me. Theodore, the mic is yours.
Let's talk about two teams that couldn't really have looked that much worse last week than what they did. The Cleveland Browns and the Las Vegas Raiders. Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. The Raiders, 2-point home favorites, total in the 37 range for this one. And both these teams have been plagued by poor quarterback play / poor offensive line play this season. Deshaun Watson, the fewest yards per pass attempt gained of any quarterback in the NFL this year. He got sacked 8 times against the Giants last week. You know, they only had 217 total yards, 3.4 yards per play. They got injuries on the offensive line, although a lot of guys questionable in that regard. Only Wyatt Teller is expected to be out for sure. The Raiders had a box score that lied. You know, they won yards per play 6.2 to 5.6 in a game where they trailed 36-7 and got a whole bunch of garbage time yards and points. But we're talking about a pair of teams, 1-2 straight up, 1-2 against the spread. If either team is going to do anything this season, this is kind of the week to get going. It's a very meaningful game for both squads. And of course, Antonio Pierce got some big headlines. You know, I think there was definitely some individuals that made business decisions and will make business decisions going forward as well. We got our ass whooped. I would have booed us too. Those tend to be bet on type of quotes. There's a problem here, though, for the Raiders, and I would call it a fundamental mismatch at the line of scrimmage. Only one of these two teams has a potentially dominant unit. The Browns defense, when Myles Garrett is healthy, and Garrett's questionable right now. If Garrett plays, the Browns defense has, we're going to dominate the game potential. When you talk about coordinators, Luke Getsy versus Jim Schwartz. Luke Getsy, the Raiders OC, Jim Schwartz, the Browns DC. That, my friends, is a coaching mismatch. It really is. So Allegiant home field isn't worth a whole lot. You know, not like the Raiders have been these monsters against the spread at home. And when you talk about one unit that's capable of dominating, the only unit there is the Browns defense. So let's watch this injury report. You know, I want Willis and or Conklin and or Garrett in the lineup for the Browns. If those guys end up playing, I think Cleveland is very worthy of a wager. Look, if you like this type of breakdown, we appreciate all of the support that we get at WagerTalk Media, WagerTalk.com, and of course, all the great shows that we have here. Give us a like, give us a follow, and join more than the 170,000 who have subscribed to the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Lawrence, back to you, my friend.
Teddy, what do you think of the total in this game? I like the under in all Cleveland games right now. And it's amazing how low all the totals are. Remember 2 years ago, every total was in the 50s.
So I'm concerned about the under here because I think the Browns defense has a chance to be very disruptive. That's the only, you know, if you're creating defensive scores and getting field position in your favor, that can turn bad offenses into mediocre offenses very quickly. So
I haven't I haven't looked, but I'm guessing around 18 will be the team total under for the Raiders. I'm hearing maybe you like that.
Makes some sense. Wouldn't talk you out of it. 37, the prevailing number right now. I'm just looking at team totals right now. And the Raiders, I'm seeing 19.5 as the opening number, or the prevailing current number.
Under for the Raiders. I like that. Teddy covers. Lawrence Presman, you're watching Wager Talk Today. Hit that like button. Kyle Anthony joining us. Kyle, what's up, my brother?
Needs to have some indica gummies. He needs to.
Why?
I think that's going to help some of his sleep pattern.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Look at us experts. This show brought to you by Papa Herb. You're right. Indigo would help him. Jeff, if you're listening, dude, just start with like 5 milligrams, man. And if it doesn't work, go to 7. Like, just try to ease it up, bro. Ease it up. Okay, you tanned hunk. Okay, so let's get into some UFC betting. I don't know what it is. I don't know why the UFC have fighters that have names that nobody can pronounce.
Joe Anderson, Brito versus William Gomez. Talk to me about what we're going to do with this match.
Look at Teddy there, huh?
Thank you. Thank you, Teddy. So in this matchup here, we've got Jordan Brito here. He's around a minus 280 favorite. On the other side here, you've got William Gomez. He's around a plus 225 underdog. Now, when you're looking at this spot here, you've got some clashing styles. You've got Brito, who's going to come forward, who's going to look to throw big, heavy shots, be aggressive, and really look to push that pace. While Gomez on the other side here is a kind of guy that wants distance, wants space, utilizes kickboxing. And the big issue for me here in this spot for him is the fact that he's extremely low volume. Now, he does have skills. He's got some nice combinations, but the volume to me is very, very low. And in this spot here, against such an aggressive fighter, that really is kind of one of the worst strategies that you can have here. And really the best way to counter someone who's very, very aggressive is have aggression yourself. Show resistance, push forward, have volume. And those are the things that can work. The issue is that that's not Gomez's style. That's not how he fights. That's just not how he really goes out there and really throws big shots. And that's where Brito, who is a finisher, who is explosive, who is athletic, is a guy that can go out there and get those finishes. He can look for takedowns. He averages 3 takedowns per 15 minutes. And also the fact that he's got 17 victories and he's got 8 by submission, 7 by knockout. So he could win this fight anywhere it goes. So that's really where I'm going with this play here, that I think that Brito is way too explosive for Gomez to work on the outside. He's going to crash the pocket. So getting off this big nearly minus, 300 number here, we're looking at Brito inside the distance. It's around plus 100, plus 105. I think it's a likely path and how he gets it done on Saturday.
So I'm curious. This total's 2.5 juice to the over. Is this a 3-rounder or a 5-rounder?
This is a 3.
Why wouldn't you just bet under and not worry about who wins?
I think the way that this could get some legs in this fight really is what I was kind of just alluding to a little bit, is Gomez working at distance, Gomez working at space, keeping this pace slow, working on the outside. And if Brito can't cut that distance, there could be a little bit of an issue there. But I only think it really takes one opportunity for Brito to get the takedown, get the control time, and work from top position. Gomez has not looked good on his back. And also the fact that, again, I don't think he's got the power. Brito can push forward and crash. I really think that this is going to be a finish. I do think that is I think this should be more around the 1.5, but I do see why they made it 2.5, just because of the fact that Gomez can slow this down.
Kyle Anthony joining us. Kyle, so you might have heard I have a stalker, Tokyo Brandon, follows me around everywhere. I think he wants to be your wingman, dude. I think he wants to come to New Jersey, walk around in his pimp outfit, and try to feed off of the Kyle Anthony magnetism. What would your thoughts be there?
Listen, he's welcome. He's very much welcome, but we got to see what kind of game he's got. I got to see him from a distance, see if he's going to be able to, do the thing himself. He's got to be a good wingman. He's got to be a strong wingman, but the hat and the glasses, that may work. That may work in New Jersey. That may.
Okay, fair enough. Faris Zayam against Matt, I don't care. Against Matt Frivola. I don't know these guys. I don't owe them their right name pronunciation, and I don't care. Who's going to win this fight?
All right, so in this spot, we've got Faraz Ziam. He's around minus 130. On the comeback, you've got Matt Frivola plus 110. Now, this line opened up Frivola around a minus 165, 150 favorite, and money has consistently come in on Ziam. And, I get it. The guy has crisp combinations, the better technical striker, 4-inch reach advantage. So there are things that he does have that is going to give some problems to Frivola, who's going to crash a pocket, look to throw those big, heavy shots. The big vulnerability here for the Faraz side is his very susceptible being taken down. This guy is a kind of guy that will want to work at distance, will want to work in space, but he has shown he's really not able to stop takedowns very well overall. A big red flag for me was his most recent fight against Claudio Puelles, high-level jiu-jitsu guy, very high-level ground game, but he is not good at taking people down. He's got a 36% takedown success rate, and the issue is that Puelles was able to take Faraz down 7 times, and that, to me, really opens up opportunities here for Frivola. He's got good wrestling. He's got strength. He definitely had the physicality, and he hasn't had to go to the wrestling too much. It's because he had a 3-fight winning streak. He knocked out all of them in the first round. And what I did like is his most recent fight, although a loss against the guy who's main eventing Benoit Saint-Denis, is that he took Benoit down twice in that first round. And I think that opens, again, opportunities here that Frivola is not just going to, swing in the middle of the cage throwing. I think he mixes in the combinations. I think he mixes in the takedowns. And also, Faraz is another low-level striker. It could open up opportunities more for Frivola here. So I don't agree with this line movement. I think plus money is really nice on Matt to get the job done on Saturday.
Look for Matt Frivola to get the W on Saturday. Where's this? Paris, France. It's not even here.
Yep.
In Las Vegas.
A nice
Kyle
12
Anthony.
noon start time.
Early, if you want to get on board with one of Kyle's packages for UFC this Saturday. Kyle, what do you have to promote? What's going on right now on your homepage, wt.buzz/KA?
Yeah, so this Saturday, like you said, it's going to be in Paris, France. It starts, the prelims start at noon. Main card starts at 3. I have a 4% best bet play up since June of 2023. I'm 18-5 on those. And right now, plus 90 units. Number one return on investment capper out of all sports at WagerTalk. So really, finding good opportunities, putting our money in strong positions. And we've got a great card this week and a really good one next week. So looking forward to it.
Strong stuff from Kyle Anthony. Best of luck this week. And Kyle, of course, remember, noon on the East Coast is 9 a.m. here in Las Vegas and all your West Coast clients. So get on board early if you want to get on board with Kyle's UFC package this weekend. And that's going to wrap it for the Thursday edition of Wager Talk Today. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and then, enjoy the games. Best of luck with all your bets, and stay tuned for Lawrence's Daily Presidential Address.
Welcome, everybody, to the Daily Presidential Address. I am Lawrence Presman. I've got a play for you I have 2 plays for you on the Rams and Chicago. Before we get into that, I want to point out that I have a big card for Sunday. My NFL clients will receive my entire Week 4 report. That'll include at least 5 client bets plus thoughts on every single game on the board and my circa picks as well. It's $29. You can get that for $19 by using the promo code GAMEDAY10. That's Game Day 10. A lot of you guys have already used that code. So much love. It's so appreciative that you have put your trust in me. Okay, let's get into this. The Rams against Chicago. Well, first off, I like the under here, guys. I like the under again. 41 points in a game the Bears are playing in. Do they think the Bears are going to finally score a whole lot of points? I don't understand this line. Take the 24 points out against Tennessee. Why? Because they were all scored by defense and special teams. And this Bears team has put up a very little amount of scoring. But they are playing a LA Rams team that I'm not that impressed with their defense. mediocre at best. And I do think the Bears will finally get some points. With all that said, I think this might be the week that the Bears actually win a game. Now, I'm not going to take the -3 here. I'm going to look to take them on the money line. I put them in as a free pick last night. It was -142. So I like the under, and I like the Bears on the money line. Let's bottom line this game. The Bears have an incredible defense, like legitimately an amazing defense, and they really should hold this Rams team to under 17 points. This Rams team is horribly injured up and down the field. And yes, they had a massive game against San Fran last week. It was more like a massive final 3 minutes, but they looked good last week. I don't think they're going to be able to continue that momentum, especially with all their injuries. This Rams defense is not that great. And the Bears last week finally started to move the ball. Now, I understand they didn't put up a whole lot, and they stink in the red zone. But they did get 26 first downs, which is very impressive. And they put up 332 yards in the air. I think the Chicago team is good for somewhere between 17 and 24 points on Sunday. The Rams, second worst D in points allowed this season. They've allowed 11 points less than Chicago on average this season. But why do I like the under? Because regardless of the Rams having the second worst D, Chicago's not a team that is going to be able to convert in the red zone. So it's why I like the under, and it's why I like Chicago at the same time. I also want to point out that this is really a horrible spot for the Rams. They started the season with a playoff revenge game against the Lions, which they looked good in. Then they had 2 back-to-back division games. Now they're flying east. They're playing on a crappy grass field, and they should be slowed down. Can the Bears start the season 2-2? Why, yes, I think they can. And when they do, I will go out, buy some lasagna, put it on a pizza, and enjoy what I consider to be Chicago deep dish crap. Anyway, that's it. The Bears on the money line and the under 41. Guys, use that promo code GameDay10. Get $10 off of my Sunday package. Lots of love, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.